When you get to the end of your day, do you feel frustrated? Do you feel kind of a bit frazzled? Do you feel like the whole of your day has been hijacked by distractions and interruptions? Or maybe some good ideas that have occurred to you, but you can never really quite get to them and implement properly. Maybe some other people have given you some good suggestions or have made some requests of you, and you just can't quite get to them. And it can be a little bit overwhelming, right? And maybe you can even feel a little bit guilty that you've burned up your time, that you've procrastinated, and that you haven't really used your time well. What if you had a framework, a system in place that helped you avoid some of those distractions, some of those interruptions? Now, I'm not talking about time blocking. I'm not talking about just having focused time, not really. I'm talking about some very practical principles that you can put in place that are going to help you to manage your time better and really to take back a little bit of that time that you feel has been stolen from you. So in this video, I'm going to share with you what I might call a productivity system. The goal of it is not even to get a lot of things done. It's really just to clear up some of the space in your head that's kind of cluttering your head. Now, it doesn't involve time blocking on your calendar or staying up later or anything like that. So before you start working on a project, I think it's important to understand why you're doing it. Now, that might seem obvious, but it really is easy to get hijacked simply because an idea has occurred to us or somebody has asked us to do something, or an email has come in, or something, a phone call, something that doesn't necessarily demand our attention. And so asking yourself why helps you to be completely aligned with who you are and what it is that you're doing. Let me use an analogy. Imagine that you are headed to a particular place, and then you get sidetracked, you get distracted. Is that sidetrack going to take you to the place and there's just going to be a detour? Is it somehow going to help you get there, or is it going to pull you away from your destination? And if it does pull you away from your original destination, that's okay, as long as you've decided that and actually decided to go for a new destination. So first question is, why am I going to be giving my attention to this? Who's going to benefit is the next question. And so this is really about you. Are you going to benefit, and is maybe a client or somebody else going to benefit? So the more that you are having both parties, more than just you or just them benefiting, the better the chance there is of you really digging deep and getting into the project or the task. And then, of course, before you start, you need to know how you're going to go about it. Now, you don't need to know that in great detail, but at least a little bit like if you're going on a journey, you've got to at least know how to get to the main road. And then also when. How much time is it going to take? How much effort is it going to take you? What information do you need before you can start? What tools, what equipment, that sort of thing. Oh boy, I'm going to race through these and see how many of these principles you can implement today to get you more organized. Number one is to stop making mental notes. You are making mental notes of things, but your head is getting too cluttered. It's a little bit like in a kitchen where you've just got stuff everywhere and you've got nowhere to work. Stop making mental notes. I'll have to remember that. Okay? Get it into your calendar. Remember, you control your calendar. Get it down onto paper. Get it into some place where you don't have to keep it in your head and try and remember things and rack your brain. So stop making mental notes. Number two is to reduce your double handling. Classic example. I've got a phone here and I've got a laptop that I'm talking to right now. How often do you store something on your phone and then you have to copy it across to your laptop, or maybe double handling, you've actually got to type it in on your phone and type it in on your laptop. This could be with contacts, with telephone contacts, or it could be with content that you are writing and you are transferring it across. There is no need to be doing that usually. Most apps that are going to work on your phone will have some sort of website or something that you can use also on your laptop, and those two sync to each other. We don't want to be doing that double handling. And similar to that is we don't want to do the copy and paste. And so once again, this is a classic example. You're taking notes on something, you write it down, and then you've got to copy all of that and put it up into an app. And maybe you've got it in one app and then you copy it across to another app. Get the apps working together. Get them syncing with each other. Use fewer apps if you possibly can. Whatever it is, we want to reduce the copy and paste. That can be especially time consuming, very, very draining for you, very frustrating, and very unproductive. Number 4 is going to surprise you. Don't search for what you have already found. If you've got a meeting happening and you know where that's going to be, when you organize the meeting, hey, can you give me your address? Or maybe it's going to be a meeting over Zoom, for example. Stick that into your calendar. Put that in your calendar already. Don't go back so that when the meeting time comes up, you've then got to go back and look up your email address or check through your text messages or your direct messages to find their address or their email address again. Get it all together so that when you are ready, all of the components are all in the one place. Make it nice and easy. I already do that when I organize a Zoom meeting. The Zoom meeting, the invitation has also got the link to the Zoom meeting in it, so that when the time comes, it shows up on my calendar. I click on that link and bingo, I am in the meeting. Number 5 is to build systems and to get things out of your head. Once again, we want to stop making mental notes. We don't want yourself to be the single point of failure, that single roadblock that, that person knows it all. No, we don't want that. Try and to create some systems. And the systems don't have to be big, complex apps. It doesn't have to be a CRM. It doesn't have to be something complex. It could be as simple a system as something like this, okay? And so a simple system. But build the systems which are repeatable. They're easy to hand over to somebody else. And so that way it's much more consistent as well. And then that's freeing up your headspace for more important things. Number 6, don't focus on the tools. That's probably a surprise for you coming from somebody who runs a tech tips channel. But what I mean by that is I don't want you to be spending time worrying about the tools and learning the software and frustrated with yourself. Get to a point where you are comfortable with it and then get the tools out of the way. I don't want the tools themselves to be the obstacle. And so that means finding tools that are easier to use, getting to know the functions that you especially need to know. You don't need to know everything there is about a particular tool. Don't focus on the tools. Think of an analogy. If you are driving, once you learn to drive, you are going to drive and you're going to be able to enjoy the scenery. But if you're so focused on the inside of the car and am I driving, you do that while you're learning, but you want to get to a stage where you're comfortable enough that you can start to be looking out and not just focused on the tools themselves. The next one is to focus on what you can control. So if you are trying to organize a meeting with somebody, for example, and they agree, and then you're hoping that they're going to tell you to send you the invitation, you can control that. You can send the invitation. You just say, I can do Tuesday at 10 a.m. or Wednesday at 3 p.m. Does either one of those work with you? And they'll say, yeah, the Tuesday is good. Great. I will send you the invitation now. What's the best email address? This is something that you can control instead of waiting and hoping and praying that they are going to get back to you. And that's a good principle in life as well, is to focus on the things that are within your hands. And so you're not dependent on some middleman if you can help it. And now, the last thing is to be clear about the next step. This is a very big gap, especially in business, when people are vague about what happens next. Ideally, in a sales conversation or when you are building a project, both parties are very clear what the next step is. And if you're finding that hard to define, make it smaller, but make it concrete, make it something that you can measure, something that everybody can say, hey, I know what is supposed to happen next and who is supposed to do it. So there we are. There are a few of my principles that have helped me to get my channel working on YouTube and help me produce quite a lot of content without any team behind me, without outsourcing anything yet. I'm able to do that thanks to the principles that I'm following here. And if you apply any one of these principles yourself, you're going to vastly improve. You're going to vastly improve the time that reduce the amount of time that gets hijacked from your day, which is kind of making you feel really guilty and down and feeling like your day has been stolen. We don't want that. Okay? So, if you found this helpful, then please give it a like because that's a big help for me and my channel.